Here are some of my favorite books that I wish I could read again for the first time. This is my channel, Unapologetic Reader. Let's get started. I think the book we can all agree on is A Court of Thorns and Roses. Well, the series anyway. I know we didn't all love this book when we started it, or at least when I started it, I was like, okay, Beauty and the Beast, very YA. And then you get into it and you're like, oh, this is not what I thought it was. But one of the reasons I love this is not only the journey it takes you on, but the fact that it really changed so many people, women especially, in that we grew up with Twilight and the Hunger Games, and whether you loved it or you hated it, you read it and you consumed it. And then I feel like when we became adults, there just wasn't something that we were really excited about until the series came out. And so many of us women came together and we were like, yes, this is what we want. We want more of this. And we finally have a voice with our money to be able to say, we will buy it if you will print it. Now, has everything that's come out after this been amazing? No. But we have a voice and we are making a change. And so if I could go back and read this again for the first time and start that journey again, I absolutely would. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This took me by surprise. I picked it up because I knew there was a movie coming out and everybody that read it was recommending it. So I was like getting FOMO really bad. Like, all right, I guess I'll go ahead and read it. Within chapter 1, I'm like, this is amazing. How have I never read this? And I even listened to the audiobook with my husband, which just made it amazing. This was one of my favorite reads of 2025. And if I could pick this up for the first time again, I would. It's one of the reasons I recommend it to so many people because I'm so envious. I just want to be there while they're reading it and be like, what do you think? Oh my god, this is so funny. Have we gotten to this part? So yes, this book, I would read it for the first time again in a heartbeat. Court of the Vampire Queen by Katee Robert. Oh, I wish I could read this again for the first time. This was so good. It was my first Why Choose romance, and I definitely was like, woo, woo, that's a lot of things happening with a lot of people. What's going on? And I got to the end and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this, but that was a good time. So I really enjoyed this, and if I could read it for the first time again, I would. Now, I will say, I'd have to read it again for the first time, still being kind of new to the romance world, because now I might read it and be like, all right, a lot of spice, no plot. But when I read it, when I did, it was very good. It was a very good, spicy time. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and just the Harry Potter series in general. Now, once again, I know that there's a lot of controversy over the author, and I do not agree with everything that she has come out with, but I can't lie and say that I didn't love this series. And I read this in college, okay? I was consuming this over audiobook as I was driving to and from school, and I loved it. The world, the characters, and it's still a series that just lives rent-free in my head. I can't get enough of it. I love the way she tackled so many topics, war especially. She did such a good job, and she has a natural way of writing mysteries within her book that she leaves you crumbs throughout, and when you get to the end, you're like, oh, you did tell me all those things. I didn't know you were. I should have seen it coming. And so I can't deny her skill in the writing. And I cannot lie that I love this book series. And if I could go back and start reading it again for the first time, I would. I absolutely would. So I might not agree with the author, but I absolutely love the work. House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I read this last year, and I could not put it down. The first 2 chapters, I was kind of like, ugh, I don't know. It just wasn't catching me. I was kind of like, this is a little rough, just because the setting was so different, very steampunk, if you will. And I was like, I don't know if that's really what I like. I like more solid fantasy or romance. The steampunk was a little different. And the college girl aspect was a little hard for me to kind of relate to. But once I got past that, I got it in Kindle, I got it in audiobook, and I had the physical copy because I wanted to be consuming it at every moment of the day. So this book, if I could go back and read it for the first time again, I would. And I know that I have 2 books in here by Sarah J. Maas, and I think the reason that I just love her book so much is because of the way she writes women. She writes female characters in a way that very few authors are able to do. She writes strong, independent characters that are unapologetic. They are not afraid to be who they are. Does that mean that they don't have any insecurities? No. But they recognize them, and they don't look to other characters to fix that. So that is one of the reasons I love ACOTAR and I love Crescent City. And I'm starting my journey on, you can see it over here, Throne of Glass. And even though I don't love the series yet, I'm still only a couple books in, I love her female characters. She writes them so well. So yes, if I could go back and read this one again for the first time, I would. Persuasion by Jane Austen. So, obviously I love Pride and Prejudice, and I've always loved Pride and Prejudice. This is one I went back and read recently. I never read it before, but I wanted to read all of the books by Jane Austen, and I love the character Anne. She is a character that speaks to my soul. Because she is so sweet, and even when she has characters that aren't kind to her, or they don't always recognize her beauty or her goodness, she is still always willing to be there for them. And I loved that about this character. And I love that we pick up in her life where she is finally like, okay, it's time to move on. And you're heartbroken, but you're also like, yes, you deserve love. So this book, if I could go back and read it again for the first time, I absolutely would, because it was one that took me by surprise. There aren't a lot of adaptations that do it justice, but it is so good. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I think we can all agree that we really love this one. We went through the ACOTAR phase, and then this one came out and we were like, yes! Games and Trials, what we've been waiting for. I know that the series has kind of been hit or miss for a lot of people, but this first book, written very well. I love it. I love the characters. I love the dragons. I think in a lot of ways, it takes us back to that Harry Potter era when we grew up in, and the Hunger Games feeling of the trials, but a school setting, but for adults. And it's so hard to put down because you want to know what happens next. You're connected to all of the side characters, which I think that's one of the big strengths of this book, is that there are side characters that are just as important to you as the main character. So I absolutely love this book. Would highly recommend. And if you haven't read it yet, I'm envious. Ice Planet Barbarian by Ruby Dixon. I know. Hear me out. This was a book that took me completely by surprise, and in such a good way. I remember picking this up and being like, all right, I'm gonna read it. Everybody else is reading it. I gotta know. And I was like, this is good. Oh my goodness, this is good. Why do I like this? It's aliens. But I just did I loved it. And if I could go through those emotions again for the first time, I would. It's just such a good time where you really are the whole time like, am I really enjoying this? Am I really enjoying an alien book? A spicy alien book? But I did. And if I could experience that again for the first time, I would. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is another author who writes females so well. When I saw that Mate was out, I was like, I have to read it. And it was just as good as this one. But I will say Bride was one that I think it's the surprise that you miss. So Mate was amazing. It sent me into a reading slump. It was so good. Bride was a pleasant surprise where I picked it up and was like, okay, I mean, this looks good. This is things I like. I like the vampire, werewolf, shifter, that whole world. That sounds really good. Post-apocalyptic. Okay, I'm here for it. And then you pick it up and you're like, oh, it's good. It's really good. The author did an amazing job. It was just awesome. And I can't recommend it enough to people. Anytime someone's like, can you recommend a good fantasy romance? I'm like, yes. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Read it so we can talk about it. So if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. And if you have, then you know it is so good. Because Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. This book was so beautiful. I mean, it's sad, and there are so many things in here that happen that break your heart. But at the same time, it is such a beautiful world. And honestly, the romance it's this weird mix of being the motivation for the character, but it's also almost a side thing that's happening kind of adjacent to everything else that's happening in her life. So it's one of those books where she is very much front and center, and she wants to be with this man, but her life and the career that she is in doesn't always allow for that. So you just get this very in-depth view of what she's going through, but also this career that is just so different from what we in American culture might perceive it. Now, that being said, I did read another book, Tales of a Geisha, which was written by an actual geisha, and I get the impression that she was actually the geisha that Arthur Golden interviewed, and she was very angry with his portrayal of geishas. So that does kind of skew. If I'd known that going into it, that might have shaped it. So reading it again for the first time now, I don't know, but I think that this is still a book I would pick up and be like, wow, that was really good. So I'm including it in here. The first time I read it, it blew my mind. So I don't know, if I was reading it again for the first time, I might still just love it. The Wrong Bride by Katharina Mara. I know. I can hear your thoughts. That is a terrible cover. Yes, let's sign a petition to get a better cover. It's a terrible cover. Some of you are thinking, I've read that book. That book is trash. You're not wrong, okay? This is what I would classify as junk TV or trash TV, okay? It's the kind of TV that somebody puts on and you're like, ugh, that's terrible. Who's she dating? Wait, she's cheating on who? That's terrible. Why are they, it's a car wreck that you can't look away from. And that was this type of book. I remember I picked it up and started reading it and was like, I can't put it down. Oh my goodness, this is so good. This is amazing. And I got to the end of it and I closed it. I was like, that wasn't very good. Do I like the characters? That plot was a little out there. But at the same time, it was such a good time. So if I could do it again, I would. So I do recommend it. Now it might not be your thing, and that's okay. But for me, I would watch it again or read it again. And the last book on my list is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Jacia Lynn. I love this book. I am never going to stop recommending it. Never. I am new to BookTok and Bookstagram and BookTube. But let me just say that I will single-handedly get the name of this book out there. I've seen a couple of influencers talking about it, but why are we not all talking about it? It's so good. It was, how do I describe this? How do I describe this book? It's so emotionally deep. It talks about a woman who, and this is all in the front cover, I'm not spoiling anything, she's just died. And so you have that in the first couple of chapters, and she does a good job with 2 to 3 chapters talking about some of the very real emotions that people go through when they're dying. And you're like, that was heavy for the first couple of pages, but okay, I'm here for it. And then she gets to the afterlife, and you get to pick where you're going. And she's trying to kind of figure out what she wants to do in the afterlife. And she decides that something to help her keep busy is she wants to help out in hell. She wants to help them with some of the more irate people that have to go there. And so she becomes, she sets up a help desk, or a hell desk, where some of the people can come over and complain. The way she handles those complaints is very interesting, and I was there for it the whole time. And Jacia Lynn is hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing through this book. It was so good. And then you meet the male main character, and he is a complete golden retriever, which is the total opposite of everything that's out there right now. I feel like every major male main character is, dark shadow daddy, which, don't get me wrong, I love. But this guy was a total golden retriever. And one of my favorite lines in this book is when he's like, "Who killed my nerd wife?" I was like, marry him now. I know you just met, but marry him. So I love the romance between the two. It was so great. And then you're like, okay, I'm enjoying this. And then you meet Sharky. I'm not going to spoil it. If you've read it, you know who I'm talking about. If you haven't, just wait. The emotional damage is waiting for you as well. You're going to meet Sharky, and you're going to be like, why am I crying? Why do I have to cry right now? I love this book. And then you get back to the funny parts and the romantic parts, and then you're crying again. You're like, I just want them to be together. I don't understand why someone could do this. Anyway, as you can see, I loved every minute of it. And if I could go back and reread this book, I would. In a heartbeat for the first time. It is so good. And it's why I had to get the special edition. I don't know. I'm lying. I do go back and get special edition books. That was a lie. But only for the books that I absolutely love. All right. But I did, for Christmas, specifically ask for the special edition of this book because I loved it. And then I went out and gifted my original copy to somebody else because I was like, everybody needs to read this book. So those are my favorite books that if I could go back and reread them again for the first time, I would. I'd love to know what your favorite books are. So please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below because if I haven't read it yet, I'd love to.